all together real quick. This is the Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell radio show with Dr. Heather Burton and Kenn Dowell. We come live every Tuesday right here on WOVU 95.9 FM. We are here in the studio right here on 90, right here off of 79th and So in Kinsman Avenue, right in the heart of the city, where we bring the truth and talk about various different topics throughout our day. And today we have a gentleman on our program who's going to be coming live with us to talk about some information that's going on in the city. We're going to get ourselves together and talk about a few other topics that are going on around the city as well. Dr. Heather Burton should be dropping in with us pretty soon, and she's going to join into the conversation. So again, I want to welcome everybody to the Strategic Moves radio show with Dr. Heather Burton and Kenn Dowell. We brought to you live every Tuesday right here on WOVU 95.9 FM. Now, if you was paying attention to everything I just said in the last few minutes, I introduced this program by 4 different ways, didn't I, Latif?
Yeah, you really know how to introduce the show. Take a 10-second intro and turn it into
it was like
3 minutes.
I might have mentioned it, named it 3 different ways. I called it the radio show, the podcast. I said it was Kenn Dowell and Dr. Burton. Then I just said it was Dr. Burton and Kenn. I got it all screwed up. So if you're just tuning in, we're going to do this again. You are tuned in to the Strategic Moves radio show with Kenn Dowell and Dr. Heather Burton every Tuesday right here on WOVU 95.9 FM.
You might even get the judge to come on.
Hey, we might get this thing. We're trying to get this right. So today we're going to get started on a few things, but before we get going, as we always do, we're going to talk to Miss Unicorn to find out what's going on in the city, man, in case there's some things. And I'll be telling people now, if you got some events and stuff that you want us to talk about or get that information out, you can get that information out to us by emailing me. You can email me directly at kendowell@gmail.com. That's KENDOWELL@gmail.com. And if you call me there, then, if you don't call me, if you email me there, then you can go ahead and give us your event information and whatnot, and we'll make sure. And if you're following us on any of our live streams that are out there today, then by all means, leave the information there, and Unicorn will make sure that she get that information, not just on our program. She's here to do several programs. So if you got some information you want to get out in the community, that's the hook. What's up, Unicorn?
What's up? How you doing? How you living? How you feeling?
Every day is a holiday. Every day.
Every day is a holiday. New surprise.
Oh, yes.
Something in the box. Yes, what's going on? Yes, this is DJ Black Unicorn, your beloved unicorn of the land.
Mhm.
And yeah, we got the People's Office going, which again, I'm going to emphasize is not a program. It is a civic infrastructure designed to give everyday residents the power, information, and relationships they need to shape the future of their very own neighborhoods, the places that you are living, staying, cooking, raising your families,
Mhm.
We just got to get back to being neighbors. So, yep, that is what's going on for the People's Office, brought to you by the Project Ripple people over there. And of course, the People's Office, we got some events coming up. We have an Easter egg hunt for the little ones going on this Saturday, April 4th at Evangeline Road.
They still do those kind of things.
Yes, they do.
Okay,
We do. We got to bring people together. We got to have some fun with the kids. We got to just let them be hyper and run around like we did when I was growing up.
That's cool. That's cool.
Dyeing the eggs. I don't subscribe to everything that is of the norm, obviously.
Mhm.
However, there are things that just build good memories and good times.
Mhm.
So whether I believe in it spiritually or any of those other things, I'm going to make sure my kid has some Christmas gifts. Like, you feel me?
Right.
I'm gonna make sure we dye some Easter eggs.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure we have a good time because
you gonna give them some turkey? That Thanksgiving.
Yes, and some candy ham for Christmas. Yes, exactly. And then April 7th, we got our emergency community meeting going down at Zave 27 on Superior at 5:30.
Mhm.
And then April 11th, we have our High Neighbor campaign launch from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. stay tuned. There's a lot going on with the people's office. And please go to my Instagram and sign up if you want to be a part of the change that you claim you want to see. You gotta get active, okay? Where's my meter? I'm sorry. I started early. However,
I'll get you started. This conversation we're gonna talk about gonna get you started.
Yes. So yes, if we are building community. So if you want to have fun with your little ones, meet us April 4th. If you want to make sure you see some things done in your community and be a part of this, be there April 7th. If you want a High Neighbor campaign sign in your front yard, come grab one April 11th. And then check us out at the Cuyahoga County Council meeting at 5 p.m. downtown Cleveland, April 14th. We'll be speaking down there all about what it is that we will be doing this spring, summer, all of the things, and all are welcome. But we will be closing meetings soon when it comes to membership. So you got to be a part of it. You have to actually dedicate yourself to this because this is work. This is work. And I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it for you. It's work. It's not hard work because we have divided it amongst us. And that is the point. We are rebuilding the village. So don't come in thinking you're not going to do anything and you're just going to show up and listen, but do understand you will have a part to play. And if you don't know what that part is, we will help you figure that out. But everyone has their blessed talents. And I want to see you all get involved and just take part in becoming a village and a community again.
Oh, excellent. Yes. That's Unicorn. She's
I saw that Pretty Lit coming.
Yeah, that was pretty lit. How was that?
Pretty Lit is amazing. I'm super excited. Ladies night is growing. You know, men be showing up because where else should you go if you're looking for a lady, if not a ladies night, right?
That's correct.
We show up pretty and we leave lit. And lit is not like we're not stumbling out the bar. Okay, we're stumbling out lifted in spirit. Okay,
lifted in spirit.
Yes, lit in spirit.
Whatever that means to you.
Whatever that means to you. We're gonna make sure you dance, you drink, you have a good time. If you are having a sober moment, we got some good mocktails going. And yeah, it's a great time. And that's this Thursday. That is this Thursday at B-side on Coventry, right underneath the grog shop. Yes, come down, have a good time.
Excellent. So again, if you got any information or an event that you need to go on and you want somebody to kind of help you with, or you have you need our support, or you want people to know about, and I got an event I need to reach out to. Congresswoman Shontel Brown is having an event this Saturday. She's having an event over at the LaSalle Theater, which is over off 185th and off 185th between Lakeshore, and she's kicking LaSalle. Yeah, she's kicking off the midterm election this year. We're going to be kicking off all of the stuff, and all the statewide candidates and others are going to come out there. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you should come on out and be a part of that. It's giving you opportunity to meet everybody that's running and that kind of thing. This year's election, as we say, is an important one for everybody to get involved some way or another, whether you believe in everybody or just somebody or anything. It's important that you do those things this year, because as you see, everything is crazy, man. And if you don't play your part, you will be left in the dark and you got nothing else to complain about. So I think it's very, very important that we kind of do that this year and we kind of get that going. So that's this Saturday from 12 to 3 o'clock at 185th in LaSalle, kicking this thing off. She's going to be there. Sherrod Brown, Amy Acton, the whole host, the whole gang is coming out. So if you're interested, want to hear, want to see it, want to do something, or just want to go, I'm not telling you who to vote for, any of that stuff, because we don't do that on this station, but we can tell you what the information is. You have free to go and make up your own mind if you want to see that stuff. So it's 12 o'clock this Saturday, April 4th, right before the holiday, on the holiday weekend. So you have no excuse to drop on by and do that. Anything else? Lateef, you say you had something you want to drop on us.
Yeah, I got a couple things. This is my I love us moment right here. I was pulling up into like a little corner store gas station, and I seen 3 girls walk up. And you know, there's always kind of some homeless people or some people in need on the side, and they immediately started giving out waters and Gatorade to those people. And then you know, I got real interested. I went over there. I looked at them, and then they had a whole little entourage and operation outside of the store. And what they were doing was they were going in, patronizing the store, and putting together snack packs and reselling them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was just some young people just using their minds and in a positive way. So I wanted to shout out Molly, Mariah, and Jayona. The name of their little corporation or business is called the Snack Heaven. One girl is 14. I think Mariah is 13, and the youngest one is 10 years old. So I just was really proud to see that. Instead of them, they could have been doing anything, causing trouble. They could have been going into the store stealing, but they were actually buying the store's product and putting together little snack packs and reselling them. So I just wanted to shout them out on. That's my I love us moment. I love to see us doing positive things and just, you know, using their talents for good, you know. So I just tried to encourage them, like, you know, don't do this after dark. Make sure, you know, you put that money up, and, you know, once you're done, you know, get on back home so your parents ain't worried about you. And they seemed like they had good heads on their shoulders that early. So I wanted to shout them out. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention
Big shout out to them. We're not going to downplay that.
Yeah.
We'll give them a little shout out. We'll let them shout out to what's their names again and where you see them at.
I seen them. They were on the corner of East 140th and St. Clair at the Freshly Shell gas station. Once again, their names is Molly, Mariah, and Jayona, ages 14, 13, and 10. And the name of their business is called the Snack Heaven. So if you see them over there, you know, please patronize them, please support them, and keep these young people uplifted.
All right, that's the Snack Heaven. That's that. I think that leads on to your next thing that you called about as far as this market. What's the with that?
Okay, the other thing is I ran into a guy that worked at the Eastside Market, and he just said the Eastside Market is in trouble. They're going to court soon, and they just needed help. And I just told them, hey, I would pass the word. You know, I know a few people out here that can help. And they just said that they're in danger of closing. And that area of Glenville is really a food desert. So that's the only grocery store in that area. So I just feel like the people need to get out there and support that area to have the East. If there could be a West Side Market, there should be an East Side Market. So I just wanted to give them a little shout out. The guy I met, his name was Damon. And then let me see. Look, he texted me the new owner's name. The new owner's name is Mr. Charles Light. And they're working hard to keep the East Side Market open. So what do you think about that, Ken?
And we was talking earlier, and you know, it's a shame that the East Side Market is on the verge of being closed, and that's gonna, you know, it's kind of segueing into what we're going to be talking with the guests we got on as well, as it relates to community organizations and things that are going on. Yeah, you know, the West Side Market they have a whole plan that's rolled out of what they wanted to do with the West Side Market. They did have a plan for the East Side Market. They put out a RFP at one particular time, I believe, to ask people if they had a plan or idea for it. Gentleman, soon that is something, but a gentleman did had an idea in the plan, and if you went up there and had a chance to look at the East Side Market, the East Side Market looks really, really good. You know, they put a lot of work in there. They put a new kitchen in there. They put some other things in there to kind of make it look really, really good. In there, they put a little mini hospital, not hospital, but clinic in there as well. It was a small clinic in there that they had that Neon was supposed to be a part of. So the resources and everything that they wanted to put in there, I thought was there, and it looked nice. You know, it's a damn shame that they can't get it right. I mean, and this is something that's been going on for years over there in that community. Fortunately, like I said, I grew up over there. I remember when they built the thing. As I told y'all in the past, I even had a job in there, sweeping and mopping in there at one point in time and cleaning up that whole facility. So that part of it, I do understand, and the need for it to exist. We talked earlier about that community being a food desert. And for when it did reopen, you know, it went through the community real well that the prices, they was kind of had Heinen prices in there. And, remember that? Everybody was talking about the place had Heinen prices in here, man. You can't buy nothing in the East Side Market, man. You know, so that went out and that gave it a hard look. And people were really upset with that. They went again and rebooted it again and went back in and tried to fix it. And now we're at a point where financially it's just not sustainable. And it's not that for a whole lot of reasons. And a lot of it is because we say this on this program all the time, is that our community in some of these neighborhoods are really, really poor communities. And the people and the stuff, that the resources that they need to survive and everything is real. And sometimes they are not able to sustain what we want to put in there. There's only small groups of people in those communities who can go to a grocery store every day, who can go and buy fresh produce every day, who want their food. Like, there's only a small group. The rest of them is pretty on either some kind of assistance or something. So it's a special type of nuance in that community that is really hard, that's taking us through that, unfortunately. But I will say this, and we say that because I want to get my guest on here, is that the key to that, because you asked me how could you help, and I said the key to that I see is just pure activism. And we joked and we laughed, and I said, you know, one of the things they need to do is go talk to Uni's group. You know, that's at least an organized effort of a group of people who are trying to do something, but it has to be organized, and not organized through the elected official, not organized through council, because you're going to need to go down there to city council and stand up there on public comment, instead of listening to my man threaten the mayor every month and every week, and everybody else crying, you know, I don't want to say crying, but explain about the same thing. That old dude up there, like, you're going to take the CVS and change it to a gas station, man. I'm so sick and tired of that mess. I mean, we need to really have some stuff on there that people get an opportunity to come on the city and talk about what's going on, because that is something that's going on in our community. And they need to be able to voice their opinion. I was laughing and joke about it, but I'm saying that is because we hear the same thing week after week, even down there. We need to have people like what's going on now with that East Side Market and others to be able to go down there and express their opinion to their elected officials, the mayor and everyone else, so that they can hear that that's what's going on in our community, and we need to help. They know it. So let's don't think that Kevin Conwell don't know that.
Yeah,
he's
but
been
it's
there.
up to us to keep them responsible.
There you go. There you
and
go.
proactive, and not just reactive to these issues as well. Because Latif, real quick, I'm sorry, I know we got to get to the guests, but did they mention any of the struggles that the East Side Market had faced over the years, or the narrative that was out there?
He really didn't express, like, he didn't dig down deep. I mean, I guess they were kind of at, you know, we at the level 4. We need some results or some help just to get us to the point where we can stay open, so we can reboot. But I just think that
they want a Band-Aid, and that's the problem that's been with the East Side Market forever. Another Band-Aid. Give us a few more dollars, or give us an opportunity to make it so we can get to the next point. That's what they do with organizations and things like us, organizations and things like these type of things, the East Side Market, this radio station, other places. Whereas 100% community owned is where I'm at, right? And when it's that way, then it's an issue. So the only way you're going to fix it is the community has to hold them accountable, keep their feet to the fire, and let them know that it's not dead. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It sounds so crazy, but that's what you put the oil on. You know, the Palestinians went down there pounding for a year, right? My man, I laughed at the older dude who come up there, but hell, man, he done made some change because they really thinking about what they gonna do with that CVS now. But he constantly down there. Brenda Bickerstaff down there. They down there. And so what we have to do is we have to be boisterous. So if that community, and I mean the community, no, not the elected, the doggone community has it. Everybody's like, who's the community? That's you, that's me, that's any of us who lives or know that it needs to public comment, get down there and start trying to do it. And if you want to organize, get with people who are organizing already on that. And that's like organizations like what Unicorn is doing. And if you know other ones, and then you guys collaborate for us to get that going. So let's get ready. Go ahead, Latif. Then I want to bring on my man here.
Yeah, I just look at it that they already put some effort in that area with 105, like 105 in Superior and all that area over there, new businesses. And that's not too far away for a whole grocery store to get, reinvented, rebirthed, revitalized, and just get the people involved. Because you got so many of that, probably that same community over in Glenville that go over to the West Side Market.
No, they go up the hill. They ain't going to West Side Market. They go up to Walmart up the hill. They go to Dave's up the hill, or they go to Dave's over here on Carnegie or Chester 55th. And 55th. They ain't going down the West Side Market, man.
But if they live around the corner, it would probably be easier for them to go there. So if the East Side,
they're living in a desert.
They go wherever they can go. Yeah. If you in the desert and you see a cactus and water, you go into the cactus and the water. That's period. It ain't nothing else to go to.
Yeah.
So they go there. That's why they talk about the gas stations, but the gas station is the only place where you can get a soda. So you go there. The only place I can get my need, I go there. If it wasn't there, it'll be another blank business.
Right.
All right, we got to get my man on. We're going to take a quick break because we want to test the lines and everything because you know how we do it. We want to make sure everything is working properly for my man. I don't want no interruption because we're going to continue this talk about what the community needs. He got a big discussion, what's going on in our community about what Cleveland Clinic is doing. We're getting a new trauma center in the neighborhood, y'all, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that means for everybody. We'll be right back.
What's up, Cleveland? It's time to turn up the conversation. Tune in to the Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell Radio Show. For What's on Your Mind Tuesdays, call in, comment, and connect on 95.9 FM WOVU, WOVU.org, and hit us up on social media. Let's go.
I call you maker. You're giving life an eternal spark. I call you healer. You can mend any broken heart. I call you faithful Father. You
I could hear you before.
Ohio. On Tuesday, March 31st, HHW Ohio invites you to the first annual Wise Excellence Awards, a night dedicated to honoring the women who kept going and the partners who stood beside them. From 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the Rose Room at the Elliott, we'll gather for an adults-only evening of gratitude, pride, and real community impact. If you believe in celebrating progress and lifting up the women shaping our future, this is where you need to be. For more information, visit eventbrite.com. Wise Excellence Awards.
What's on your mind this Tuesday, Cleveland? Let's talk art, culture, politics, and business on the Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell Radio Show. Call us on 95.9 FM WOVU. Stream live at WOVU.org or comment on our social media. Let's hear from you.
All right. We're back. We're going to get started with our program today. The name of our program today and what the title of our program today is going. Why is trauma care back on the table in Cleveland? You know, there was a time in Cleveland when trauma care didn't expand, it contracted. Hospitals closed, trauma centers disappeared, and the East Side access got thinner, not stronger. Cleveland Clinic made a decision years ago to step away from operating trauma centers. Trauma centers were pushed into fewer hands, systems were consolidated. Now, moving fast forward and back to where we at with institutes today, things are a little bit changing now, where we're at a point now where Cleveland Clinic is now looking at revamping that situation and getting more into maybe looking at bringing trauma center back here to Cleveland and open a trauma center here, back to trauma center back in Cleveland, over at the new existing Cleveland Clinic. I think they're building a new wing over there for this trauma center. Now, Cleveland, remember, we had a trauma center that was out in East Cleveland. It was the old hospital that was there. It was a Cleveland Clinic hospital that was the East Cleveland, where people, if you had got shot or had any type of emergency, you went to that facility in East Cleveland. Back then, Cleveland Clinic made a decision to get out of that type of business and wanted to centralize their stuff and specialize, I believe, either in heart or brain surgery, and some of the specialized surgeries that they went out and made millions of dollars in. I don't want to say that in a bad way, but that's what they were known for, making those kind of things and being a private hospital and doing so. And they went out and became very successful. So I don't want to say it was just about the money. They became very successful in the fields that they're in and made very, very big, monumental things in the field of medicine. So I don't want to downplay nothing that the clinic has done, but they did make a decision that they didn't no longer want to get into trauma, and they specialized in those things. But now they're getting back into the business of trauma. And we have a gentleman on our line who I've been trying to get on my program for a long time. This guy is almost as bad as trying to get Prince to somebody on. Every time I try to get this guy on, it's like, man, are you coming on or what? So I called him again today because I thought it would be good to kind of talk about this, because this is something that's going to affect our community. A lot of people don't understand that. And he's going to break it down a little bit about what does that mean and what's going on with Cleveland Clinic. So I want everybody to give a warm welcome to State Representative Darnell Brewer to the program. Darnell Brewer, welcome to our show.
Welcome, State Representative. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
There we go.
There we go.
Let's see. We hear you now, Darnell.
Okay. I was just saying thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
There you go. We hear you loud and clear. Oh, thanks you for coming on the show. So, brother, you state representative. Before we get started, give everybody a little where you work, what area you representing, and that kind of thing, so people know who you are and that kind of thing before we get started.
Oh, no problem. Represent the southeast side of Cleveland, Mount Pleasant, Buckeye area. Garfield Heights, Maple, Bedford, and Bedford Heights. So District 22, all that bumps across Lee Harbor in that area down, headed on down to Bedford and Bedford Heights.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So, brother, tell us what's going on with this hospital, man. What's happening?
Well, one thing I think people need to understand is, as we talk about this, a trauma center versus an emergency room versus urgent care.
Okay.
And so a lot of people are upset when we say we are trying to bring information about a trauma center to Cleveland Clinic. When someone gets shot, they go to a trauma center.
Mm-hmm.
When someone get a cough and cold, they go to emergency room urgent care. There are specific things that happen at the trauma center that does not happen at emergency room or urgent care.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're saying is we already have one on the east, one on the west, and in Akron. We already have 3 trauma centers already in Cleveland. What is the purpose of bringing a trauma center back to Cleveland Clinic main campus? And so that's what we've been sounding the alarm, myself and some other people, as to why we need to bring a trauma center back to the heart of Cleveland. My concern is, as I said, I represent District 22. Right next door to me is District 20.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Clinic will be positioned in the heart of the most violent-prone districts in the whole state of Ohio, District 20 and District 22, based on research.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that Cleveland Clinic is going to be not experimenting, but also working with trauma care when it comes to pediatrics, which is already being done by University Hospital.
Okay.
And so my question to them has always been, why do we need another trauma center? That has always been a question. It's not about, not saying the trauma center shouldn't come to Cleveland Clinic, but why do we need another trauma center?
So what you think their reasoning for that?
What's
What's their logic on why they believe all of a sudden now we want to get back into something that they didn't want to do? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we even go to the why they need it, why did they stop it in the first place?
The same person who they have leading the charge, I can forget his name, I'm sorry, he argued against expanding trauma centers. So he was a staunch supporter of not bringing trauma centers. He wasn't making any money, things of that nature. And so that leads into the why they're doing it now. They have not said why they're doing it, have not answered any questions. Myself have sent a letter. Our delegation of all Democratic representatives down at the State House has sent a letter asking for a question as to why. But if you ask me in a personal nature, if you look at all of the top hospitals that are ranked for number 1 on down, and Cleveland Clinic never cracks that number 1, what is the one thing they have that Cleveland Clinic doesn't have?
A trauma center.
A trauma center. And so as we talk about this, we're not talking about them just bringing a trauma center, but what happens once you get done with the trauma? Are they just going to patch you up, put you out the door? Because remember, they have a policy now that if you don't pay your copay, you can't be seen. So what happens after the trauma? What happens after they patch you up? Do they send you back to the 2 hospitals that already would have taken care of you and provided wraparound services? So this is the type of thing that we're trying to bring attention to the problem.
So wait, I want to get clarification. So in other words, Cleveland Clinic would not provide a holistic care. So they wouldn't provide the wraparound services, or we don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that. And that's our question. Think about it. If you go, when Metro has violence interrupters already in their facility who is working with them on violent interruption. So you come in there, there's a holistic approach. They treat you, triage you, they work with you, they may send you to different organizations. University Hospital deals more with pediatrics. They also have a piece in that too, not a full scope piece as much as Metro, but have a full piece in that too. Cleveland Clinic, are you gonna have that same thing? Are you just gonna patch me up? Are you just gonna patch me up and send me away? And so that's the questions that we keep asking. And again, why do we need another trauma center? Because a lot of people are confused. Again, make sure we get this correct. Trauma centers from emergency rooms and urgent care.
Urgent care, yeah.
There's so many trauma doctors and nurses here in Kiowa County already. And so when we open up this trauma center, we're going to pull from where? University Hospital and MetroHealth, which again is going to cause a shortage for those 2 hospitals.
And I would like to believe that some way or another, cost-wise, it will affect this as well with the amount of care. Because you make a great point, because Cleveland Clinic was sort of like a elite private kind of hospital. And if you don't have that kind of insurance or whatnot, like you say, if you go there, what they gonna do with you after, they gonna push you in the hallway and you have to go to UH anyway, or they gonna have to send you to Metro anyway. Now, some will argue that could be the difference between life and death. Someone can say, hey, I want to make sure that you get me there because, hell, the EMS said if you would have stopped here at Cleveland Clinic and got some help, we might have got you to Metro in good shape. What's your argument on that?
You're absolutely correct. But the thing is, we already have that situation now. And so we have University on one side, MetroHealth on the other side, and Akron right behind us.
Right, because
so
Cleveland Clinic ain't that far
it really ain't that far from
Metro.
you.
I mean, I just so that argument that argument does not work.
Yeah, that argument wouldn't even work there. But listen, some would say though, you give me my 2 or 3 minutes. I need that 2 or 3 minutes would have saved my life, and I really get that. So when we talk about this holistic approach, and I know you're really big on that because there's been some legislation and stuff that you have been passing and introducing since you've been a legislator in regards to some of the incidents when we talk about the gun violence that's taking place in these communities and access to the weapons and things of that nature. Let's talk a little bit about what you've done in the State House to kind of look at the holistic approach about this healthcare thing, and we'll talk a little bit about healthcare down there at the state while we're down there. Go ahead.
One of the things I'm working on is trying to get the state of Ohio to look at gun violence as a public health crisis. And so for the last year, I've been hosting what is called planned town hall meetings. I have traveled around the state from Columbus to Cincinnati, Toledo, Dayton, all those areas, talking to people about gun violence, whether it be safe storage, whether it be properly holding firearms, what type of legislation we can pass when it comes to firearms. The goal is not to take away firearms, but also the goal is to make them safe for everyone. So I've been traveling around the state around that. I'm going to be introducing some safe storage bills, which I have introduced one, and they're all bipartisan. Let me just say this. I am one of the few Democrats who have gun legislations that is bipartisan. Whether it be sales tax exemption on gun safety devices, whether it is for the state of Ohio to recognize safe storage, both of them are bipartisan, whether it's offer funding for community violence intervention programs, again, a bipartisan bill. We're going to be introducing Keep Every Home Safe Act, which will require people to safe storage their guns. Then we're also going to be introducing another bill called Maya's Law. Maya was a young lady who was 15 out of Columbus who accessed a unsecured firearm and killed herself. And so, but there's no penalties for those type of things. Yeah, we talk about child neglect. We can talk about derelict of duty, things of that nature, but there's technically no penalties if a child access a gun and hurt themselves. So we're looking at something like that. And not just when it comes to guns, but also we're going to be introducing legislation when it comes to making sure all these health systems, when it comes to behavioral health, are coordinated. We know there is no coordination between a lot of the healthcare systems here in Ohio, especially mental health services, and so we can talk about that as well. So, but those are some of the things that I am working on.
So when you talk about holistic approaches and trying to bring these things together, that is one of the ways that we look at these communities of how we can kind of prevent some of the trauma that is coming through these hospitals with the accidents and having access to weapons and those kind of things that take place in our communities. And I know that you've really been doing good on that. I've been following you on your legislation on all of that. And I think that that's a huge step in doing it. I want to go back to Cleveland Clinic and ask you this as well. Do you believe one of their issues that they're having, and you can tell me if they have they reached out to the community and are they working with the community to see what the community needs as it relates to that? Because it seems to me now, if the goal is to kind of get into this lane of trauma and trying to help in that, maybe they should listen to the community along the lines of what you're even talking about, because maybe there are some things that we can do to work with them to help limit some of the trauma, and here's a perfect example. What I'm talking about is we were just talking earlier and we were talking about the East Side Market and that the closing of the East Side Market. And I mentioned that they had a whole clinic over inside that East Side Market that Neon was supposed to be taking a part of that will help those people people in that community, because trauma is more than just somebody shooting you or you getting into a fight or something. Trauma could be you failed. Trauma could be lack of medicine. Trauma could be any of those things. You have to get there. So having access to be able to help people in a way where they can get to them. Because again, even getting to Cleveland Clinic, man, it's like a metropolis. When you ride by there and you look at that, it's its own world. And when you walk inside there, it's like its own piece. And I'm kudos to all that. I'm not hating on all of that. But sometimes that could be a little much for somebody. It can be a much about parking to get in there and that. So having access and being more amenable in the community can probably go a long way, I believe, if they were to talk to the community on that. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, I actually wanted Senator to answer, but I think that there's several layers here that we've got to understand. And he said this already, is that there's a difference between trauma, there's a difference between the emergency room, and there's a difference between urgent care. And so when we're talking about trauma versus the needs or the everyday health needs of the community, what Cleveland Clinic should be doing is saying, let me establish a health center within the community that's going to benefit some of the other things that prevents the emergency room, that prevents urgent care.
That's correct.
If you want to invest in the community versus a trauma center. I think that's the thing, because if we think about it and we think about healthcare, very often what tends to happen is that the emergency room for many people becomes their primary care physician.
That's correct.
Urgent care becomes a primary care physician. And so it's providing information and access to the community of healthcare beyond this. And I'm still stuck on the trauma. The trauma facility, and understanding why it stopped and now why we want to bring it back. I need to be at the table, Senator. Can you get me at the table so I can ask these questions?
No, I've been trying to get to the table myself. And I know as well. It is, once again, is you summed it very well, and Ken, you also summed it very well. We're not hating on Cleveland Clinic. We're just asking for an answer as to why all of a sudden now.
You're right.
You know, there are so many other things you could be focused on, like so building a hospital center with the East Side market. Say, hey, we know it's about to go under. Let me go help save it. Let's put something in there, because like we know, people are using those traumas, those urgent cares and emergency rooms as their primary care. And so when we think about trauma, we think about gunshots, we think about burns, we think about accidents, we think about those natures of things that happen. Some things are preventable. I always say I've said to Cleveland, to people who champion Cleveland Clinic trauma, do you think they're going to work with Rep Brewer to stop gun violence in my community if they build it right there in the heart of the community? You know, there's a famous movie that says, if you build it, they will come. You know, what does it stop them from diverting? We talked about this, you know, the times to get to the hospitals. What type of incentives could they entice ambulances to make sure they bypass University Hospital to get to them? Or bypass MetroHealth.
Especially we talk about private ambulance systems.
And so we talk about that's the one question that we keep asking. Why do we need a trauma center? What is there now that is calling for this? So that is a question that needs to be answered.
That's interesting, man.
And I've heard the other side. I actually had someone to talk to me about what's the harm in it when it's just another facility. And so hearing your perspective and hearing the different questions, the other side of the things that will be impacted, because we don't think about the other hospitals if you create another trauma center and the other hospitals losing doctors. And especially and here's the other thing with the reality of what's happening because of the state of society right now is that we're losing people who want to go to medical school and become doctors because they can't focus on communities, marginalized communities that need the assistance. And so you got these people like, I'm not going. If I'm going to be punished for helping based on this, that, the other, then right now I'm staying away from medical school. So now we pulling the doctors from UH and Metro. What's going to happen to services for those coming to those hospitals?
You know, they right now have some agreements with those two hospitals to use residencies when it comes to certain type of things. Cleveland Clinic has cut those off with those two hospitals. So now they built their own school. So they're more exclusive now with their residencies. Versus, you know, having someone who may be a specialty in this field, work in this field, and able to go to University Hospital or MetroHealth and still work in that area. So they've cut that off. So this is what we're just saying in Cleveland Clinic. Yes, you may be doing some good things in the community. Yes, you built a Myers in a grocery store. You built some apartment buildings. But once again, what is the need for a new trauma center? That's all the question that we be asking. Think about this. We're going to be building a new jail in Garfield Heights. May, right?
That's a whole nother radio show.
That's a whole other, right. And I represent Garfield Heights, so trust me, right. Think about it. If you think of the trauma that will happen there, is that going to divert them from Marymount going to there?
Right.
We're looking at this from a holistic point of view versus a centralized point of view. And so that's all we're saying in Cleveland Clinic. Come to the table. They hosted a community meeting with Council President Blaine Griffin. Okay. I was able to attend because I was in Columbus at the time on a Wednesday. And so I'm not sure what the outcome of that was, but there are a group of individuals, ministers, and other organizations who've been very concerned about this. And we know, and I know you keep referring to them as a private company or hospital, but they're a nonprofit. And so they have a nonprofit status. So their goal is not to make money. It's actually supposed to be to help people.
To help.
And so that all gets lost in this conversation sometimes.
It always get lost in, and they one of our largest nonprofits in the city is right there with them. I always joke with Dr. Burton because her church, I call it Boardwalk. Her church sits right in the middle of
right
it.
in the middle of Cleveland Clinic. We
right
still standing.
They still standing. They not gave up their little bit left.
We ain't let y'all take us.
They right in the heart of all of that, man. So we understand all of that. Rep, I wanted you, before you go, because we got a few minutes left, you got something you want to reach out to the people, any special events that's coming up or anything you want that's happening in Columbus or anything you want to say before we let you go?
One thing I always give people is watch the Ohio channel. If you want to know the kind of work that I do and all the other individuals I do, there's 99 of us. I'm on the minority side, which is 34 out of the 99. We just started an affordability campaign to talk about affordability issues in Ohio. I'm going to be working on some issues when it comes to fathers' rights, which could be another topic, when it comes to the two young ladies who were found married. I spoke with their father, so working on some legislation around there because he had tried, and I know a lot of fathers have tried and trying to get custody. So working around that. When it comes to mental health, working around mental health, if you think about Bianca Ellis, who was charged with killing that 4-year-old in Strongsville supermarket, she fell through every crack, every system in place from Florida down to Cleveland.
Wow.
And that was something that's preventable. Once again, how do we coordinate these services? So once again, as we talk about Cleveland Clinic, talk about mental health, behavioral health, how do we coordinate these services so nothing, we don't lose any more lives?
All right. Oh, Miss Dowell, she busy dropping comments today.
I was wondering what that. I'm like, what's that on the screen?
She dropping comments. All right. Say, Representative Eric Brewer, she said, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And everybody understands that for real. Yeah. So, Representative, we want to really thank you for being a part of our program. You got an open door.
But I got one quick question though, because to that statement of if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Will they make money off of a trauma unit? What kind of financial money would they make?
It's a sight to be seen. There's an argument that they will. There's an argument they wouldn't. They'll make money off the trauma piece because once again, when you get the trauma, you're going to get covered for that. But once again, the wraparound services, once you get patched up, you may, because one time they wouldn't take care source. Also too, there's a copay issue around.
Before I let you go, I guess we can't get you out of here because that's another one. They had a big copay issue they just dealt with. Now, can't let the people know what was going on with that.
So the copay was, if your copay was over a certain amount, I think $35, you could not make an appointment to see your doctor. Now, I tell people,
wasn't that you had to?
But listen, this nonprofit now has you sign a piece of paper saying that you could take out a loan with Cleveland Clinic, and you're going to pay them. So you're really not getting. You're really not getting out of it. You know what I'm saying? So now you're owing the clinic versus your insurance company. You literally left the insurance company off the hook, and now you know who? Cleveland Clinic. So now who can sue you? Cleveland Clinic and not your insurance company. So it was like a shell game that they like to play. And trust me, there's other stuff you can talk about Cleveland Clinic as well.
The deal was, I think it was their copays.
The copays. Yeah, you had to your copay. Yeah.
You no longer could bill your copay. You had to pay your copay.
You had to pay your copay.
And if you came there and you didn't have the money to pay your copay, or you'll lose your appointment, was what they were doing. So the what they worked out was that instead of losing your appointment and everything,
you
can pay us
a loan.
You can take a loan out and pay us. Yeah.
See, that's why I'm going to the clinic.
That's Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah, I know.
Biggest nonprofit in Cleveland who said we need to open up a trauma center because we want to help.
But here's my other issue too, which I always say when we think about even funding the schools. You got most of the land. We can't get no money off of you for the schools, but yet,
right?
We you got
right.
all
and we
property.
know healthcare is a billion dollar industry. So that right there is
I'm still
crazy.
stuck on the copay.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on the copay. I forgot all about it till we was leaving out, and I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, it was something else to that. It was the copays. You're exactly right.
So think about it. You go to the
go ahead, Senator. I'm
sorry. I'm gonna say you're a trauma patient.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, you get your trauma done. You owe a copay. You can't pay your copay. What's gonna happen to you?
And think about this: you can't pay your copay, and you're gonna have follow-up appointments. So you got shot in the leg. Now you have to have therapy because you can't walk. So now you can't go to therapy because you can't pay your copay. It's just a cycle.
Mm-hmm. And so you're gonna give me special treatment now because I got shot that I don't have to do copay. So I'm the average person gonna say, oh, I have to get shot in order now to be seen by, So it's a whole big cycle that we're looking at.
That is terrible. Terrible. Well, that's why we got people like you out here, man, to keep us abreast of what's going on and let us know what's happening. That's if you could get him on y'all's show. He's a busy man. That guy right there, boy. He always got. No, last time he was coming in, he was on his way here and got in an accident.
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, surely
he got in a car accident. So he was on his way here. So, state representative, we really appreciate you. Lateef said, see, they should have had that trauma center open. That's wild.
No, because then you might not have had your copay after.
There you go. That's right.
You had to take a loan out.
Then you had to take a loan out,
Dang, that's that cycle.
Stuck in it, man. Jesus. All right, my friend. We appreciate you coming on the show, man. We're gonna take a quick break. That's State Representative Eric. Ooh, I was about to call you the wrong
one. Right.
And I think I kept calling you Senator.
He was calling the Brewer. I was about to call him. All right, this is Darnell Brewer, our state representative, and he'll be back in the show time to keep us abreast of what's going on in Ohio and in the district. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Cleveland.
Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Hey, Lateef. Thank you all.
Kenn Dowell.
All right.
Mind Tuesday. WOVU. Call in a comment on social media. Let's make this conversation unforgettable. Streaming live at WOVU.org.
All right, we are back. We're on. Ooh, let me remove one of those. All right, there we go. We're back to the show. That was Representative Brewer. Got a lot of information.
Yeah,
got a lot of stuff going on.
Right,
good Lord, boy. So you
just opened my eyes to a whole new copay thing.
You can tell your pastor, y'all property value just went up.
Right, it showed did. But I think so. For me, it's one of those things now of really paying attention to insurance and healthcare and all of that, because having not worked all of last year going into this year, or most of last year and this year, is my health insurance completely changed. So when I think about that type of a cycle, and especially people who don't have it, when you're talking about a copay, and this is why people don't go to the doctor either.
Exactly why. Yeah, exactly why. And I used to take that so much for granted because of having it. But I can imagine if I didn't, and going in there without my copay, plenty of times looking at them like, and
right,
and they put it on the thing and go through what I got to do. But I can imagine not being in a position, that and it wasn't because I didn't have it. And here's something else too. Our inconvenience sometimes be because we didn't bring it. They don't have my ATM card. Don't want to go. You see, others can't.
They don't have it.
They don't have it, and they just don't go. And that part right there.
Well, I mean, I can say that. Like, I've been with my eye appointment. That I'm like, I got to pay out of pocket now for eye appointment, and it's a completely different thing than when you have a level of insurance. And so,
and it depends on where you're at. Because my son, me and him got into a little coup d'etat last week because he had a doctor's appointment and he had to pay his copay, but the copay was big. It was like $300. He was like,
that's a big copay.
Yeah, it was a big copay. He was like, I ain't paying.
Boycott.
He like, I ain't doing. I was like, man, go on and do it. They're gonna bill you. Now he's a little different for me. I grew up, man. Bill me, whatever. I'm gonna do it. He has anxiety about bills.
About bills.
Oh my goodness, man. He don't want nothing on his credit. He don't want to owe nobody.
That's good.
But
that's how my grandfather was.
He be serious about that, man.
No, I'm like bill
man,
me.
I'm like bill me. I told him, I said,
especially hospital, especially
like,
medical bills.
Oh man,
and hospital bills. I'd be like, bill me. It ain't going on my credit. Just bill me.
He can't handle that, man. He was like, no. I finally convinced him because he needed to take the test, and I finally convinced him into doing it. But he went kicking and streaming on that one. He's like, I just didn't want to do it. So I can understand, and that's a huge copay. And he has a job with insurance,
but it's still,
the insurance was.
And I think was it last year where insurance went up like 70% or premiums or something, even with companies, it was almost like 70% increase with premiums that things went up.
Yeah.
Don't worry, y'all. We got a vacuum cleaner going behind us, and Uni trying to cut it off, and you see all of our faces trying to look and see it. So if you hear the vacuum clean, at least know we got a clean studio. That's what matters now. We have a clean studio.
Everything's all good. Everything's all good. So, Doc, you got a few minutes. I want to talk to you before you get about it. Anything special going on? Anything you got going that you want the people to know?
Yeah, I need the people to know about Sanctified and Stilettos.
There you go.
And Sanctified and Stilettos is doing very well. Thank you all for your support. Keep watching, tuning in to all of our episodes. Our episodes on Black women and unemployment has opened some other doors. Actually, that episode then led to me doing a book chapter, then led to an article. So people are really, and that was one of the ones that I wasn't even doing. But after I got the text messages about Black women being laid off, and I think the numbers now, the last number that I heard was like 600,000.
Wow.
Is that it's the reality of what's happening in this world we living in. So yeah, got that, the books and that sort of thing. And then I will be introducing those who are thinking about what God has for you or God intended for you to be, and who look to hear more information for May 15th.
Now, what is
May
that?
15th. So May 15th is the introduction of the Insight Code Institute model. And so really
that's a whole lot.
It's the ICI. So that's what we call it, ICI. But it's really talking about how do we get back to who God created us to be. So how do we walk in purpose and get back to who God created us to be, and stripping ourselves from those societal expectations that folks put on us, and parents, peers, everything, education, all the things that people say we should be, how we should be, but who did God create you to be, and how do you walk in your true purpose?
So you're going to be a speaker at this?
So no, this will be I guess I will be the speaker. I'll be a speaker at this event on May 15th. And then there'll be a reception. So we'll just networking and fellowship. And yeah, that's going to be May 15th. That's what we were talking about the other day with the space and needing the rental space.
You know what? The way I ain't gonna say this on air, but I'll tell you off air.
OBU.
That's right. Come on with it.
A Burton Bell car station.
This is a love that withstands time, space, and matter forever. Forever's a mighty long time. Here we are decades later. The sentiment